All right, welcome to my video, guys. This is now gonna be my I think 16th attempt at trying to get this right. So many distractions today, but I'm hoping I get this done properly. I see now. I really appreciate when people make videos online because I see the work that goes into it. But like anything that's great, it's worth it. So let's get it done. All right. So I want to welcome you to my series. This is Anthony Amasor. This is my video series in regards to cybersecurity, my journey into cybersecurity, what I've learned, what I do for work. Obviously, not giving out proprietary information or any information on my companies, but just giving you a general idea of the work we do. The biggest purpose of this is to teach. I want to teach others how to break into this industry, how to break into it, not just for a regular job, but for success, and to really be able to change your life and to change your life for your loved ones and your family. And the biggest thing too is to learn about myself, and as I get into it, how I teach others, because I truly believe in the Feynman technique, where the more you can explain to others or teach others, the better you get at something. And I believe perfection is not a state. Perfection is a constant flow. It keeps going and going and going. So if I want to stay perfect or keep trying to be perfect as close as possible, if that's even possible, I have to keep learning and I have to keep, going out there, putting myself out there so that, I have an audience, but also I have people hold me accountable, to make sure I stay up to par. Um, and going into my journey, I started really as a kid. I did a lot of IT that I didn't know about, not just from chatting on AOL, doing a dial-up, or or trying to figure out how to bypass AOL's CD requirement to download installation, and taking cracked copies of the AOL program and passing it, getting it from one person. I've done so many different things, and yeah, so IT has always been my life. I never made money on it. I never took it as a job until recently, until the last few years. Before that, I was finance, and I never understand that it was not as it's fulfilling. Don't get me wrong, helping people with debt is great, but sorry, coffee. But IT is in its own career, and the purpose of this is really just to teach. Okay. I started as a network engineer some years back. I got my CCNA. I was doing help desk. I was doing, helping troubleshoot when it comes to organizations network. Taking care of routing protocols, subnetting, and I realized that I could do more. So I ended up, I wanted to lead a team. I got my PMP, learned about Scrum, got my PSM. Then essentially I went into a little bit more of, cybersecurity. So I got my Microsoft SOC analyst. And now I just started my journey to get my CISSP. My exam is in January, ready to, have it scheduled. And my CISA, that should be by the end of next month. Um, Pretty confident. Hope I more than just do well. More, I hope I excel pretty well. But again, let's not but sidetrack. The point of these videos is to essentially to help others, to teach people, and to help get people inspired to join cybersecurity. And to, because the more people were in it, the more different walks of life, different cultures, be as inclusive as possible. They come with their thought processes that can take this, to even different ways of thinking, and I'm dwelling into AI as well. And one thing I've learned when it comes to bots, because I used to be a script kiddie, is the brain. Bots are powerful because they can think in one direction very fast, but the human mind is always so more powerful because we can think much more wider. That's our creativity. So if somebody ever asks you that question in regards to the difference between human brain and an AI or bot, is an AI bot is just as good. A bot is as good as it's programmed, whereas the human mind is it's just like a web. It can just can go into so many different directions, so much creativity. So the point of saying that is that the more people we have in cybersecurity, the more people that can open up to creativity of cybersecurity, because it is actually creative industry too. It's very creative because just coming up with ways to bypass anything really requires a lot of creativity. Requires you to think outside the box, and having more people in it helps. Particularly more people in the defense team, more people here on the blue side. It makes a difference. So the point is, again, is to bring people in it. Anybody from any different industry, come. Join it. Watch my videos if you can. I'll add more people who I follow too. You can watch. We can inspire. Who've inspired me, and let's really grow our community and really take this to the next level it needs to be, because the future is IT. There's nothing nobody can say. All great civilizations, the ones that proceeded into the future successfully, are the ones that were able to develop new IT or to adapt to new IT or new technology relatively quickly. It's been like that all the time, from the barbarians to them learning how to horseback ride and using bows, to conquer them, to every industry, American economy, learning how to include, get people from all different walks of life, from Germany, from Africa, from Russia, from Asia, to bring them in and to essentially have the best minds from across the world come to America, say, I'm an American citizen, and in exchange for the benefits of American citizen, help us, help our industries. So the future is people, and people is future. So biggest thing is I want to help. I want to be a teacher. I want to have my videos where they can show. I'm going to try to make them as dense, as value focused as possible, as short as possible, not to waste people's time. This probably will be the longest, just because I'm doing my intro, but I want to make it as dense as possible, as nutrition filled as possible, and so it inspires people to really get into the field. So in this video, we're gonna go into auditing. One of my jobs is I do auditing, client assurance, and essentially, I have to make sure certain policies, controls are in place and they're up to par to a framework or a standard within an organization. And if they're not, I have to figure out, essentially why that is, whose responsibility for that. I have to provide evidence for that. I have to, assess the risk level for it, the threat, the vulnerability for the organization, explain that risk. And through this video, these series of videos, I'm gonna help explain that. And we're gonna go over that. So let's go over it. As you can see, this is my GitHub, Sam Bellamy 3019. If you ever want to follow me there. Yeah, this is one of my workbooks I just finished. Um, Part of auditing is you speak to people. So auditing for an organization is essentially where you auditing IT or GRC is where we look into the controls at an organization, and the controls follow a framework. In this particular case, the framework would be NIST 853, and we need to look at the controls in place to make sure that they're actually in place, and if they're not, so we document that, provide proof for that, and provide how we came to that conclusion. So that way the organization understands what it's dealing with, and what how to remedy the situation or to expound on that. So this is a completed work right here of me going through all of that. Normally, when you go on, go do your work, you do your audit prep. You essentially, or you go audit prep is you prepare who you're going to speak to, or what controls you're going to test, or documentation you need to look at. Then after that, essentially you figure out your evidence, proof, findings, what I discover, then disposition, the status, basically saying, hey, it's in place, not in place. When we go to audit prep, the biggest thing And this again goes into being a good auditor. It's also about your soft skills, because you need to know how to talk to people to make them to tell you things, because sometimes you can talk to people who understand what's happening. They understand what the auditing process is for. It's for the betterment of the organization. But at times they may be lacking in certain things. They may hide things. They may fudge things. They may not be as truthful as you want them to be. And you need to figure out how to get them to not just tell you the truth, and if they're not going to tell you the truth, but at least get them to kind of tell on themselves a little bit. And you can, if you come across as truly in their best interest, and you are, to be honest, because you're in best interest of the organization, which at the end of the day, organization feeds them, takes care of them. So we need to do what's right. But sometimes some people can hide information, not be truthful about it, or fudge it a little bit, and we need to be able to drill down, but do it in a way where um, you're not how can I say, you are not being an a-hole. That's what I say, not being a dick. You need to, and believe me, one of my jobs that I actually got was because I replaced somebody who was an a-hole. They didn't know how to. They didn't have great soft skills. They're very technical, and I've seen that in our industry, particularly in IT. A lot of us techies, we are so great in what we do. We're so smart. They're so smart, but we're not great people. People. We're not great. We're not people. We're not great with people as per se, and it's understandable. And I'm going in the process of being a CISO, and that's learning how to be not just a good people person, but also a good tech person. Meshing the two and bringing those two worlds together. So part of this video is to help me to do that as well, to become a better CISO, CISO in training. Believe me, I'll get there. I know I will. But yeah. So helping us to know how to have good soft skills, so that we can get to that point where we are able to speak to people the right way, so that we can get the information we need truthfully, and if not truthfully, at least with enough crumbs, or enough for us to be able to know where to investigate and where to find things, and to get evidence for it. So yeah, that's it. So I'll go more in detail. This one right now is completed work. So I went on site, took down my notes, wrote things down, and then essentially, um, I updated my sheet here. I updated my data collection, evidence detail, disposition, my threat, vulnerability description, compensatory controls in place, for control not being there, likelihood, numerical numbers, scale, impact, overall risk, and risk explanation. And this all came from me going on site, speaking to people, collecting data, getting evidence, writing it down. Biggest thing too, a lot of times happen. I tell you this from my experience. Sometimes you could do an on-site audit. You could talk to people, even virtual audit. And after you get all the information you need, you can, take a few days to relax, sleep, or take some rest time, which is understandable. But you have to remember, like, when that information is still fresh in your mind, you want to document that as quickly as possible. You want to really put everything you experience, not just from the answers you got, but how it's told to you, and put it down on paper, or put it down somewhere quickly as possible, and get it out the way as quickly as possible, because you can forget things, and sometimes the mind can get you not to be as things can happen. Things can be a little fudgy in your brain, even though you can write it down. There's some things you could hear from somebody, or somebody saying that the first day you would have written it down, or it could have, it would be worth investigating. Then a few days later, you just forget about it, or you just say, "Oh, it's not worth it." You want the first day you do your investigation, you do your auditing on site or virtually, you get as much information down as possible, get the work done as quickly as possible while it's still fresh in your brain, and go from there. It's not a lot of work. It's not hard if you take it seriously. So next video is just going to be me, going through my workbook and essentially pulling in this information. But as you can see, this is what it looks like. This is what a finished product looks like, and this is basically just set for my supervisor to give the final approval and stamp it good to go. So this actually this I'll tell you this, that this organization is not actually in business. This is actually not for a real organization. This was done, so I'm not giving anybody's information in here, nobody's information whatsoever. This really was it's like a test we did, essentially to see what was, if and this was 100% correct because I already kind of got I got my supervisor to look at this already, but I want you guys to see this, so that you can have an idea of what to expect when it comes to auditing and not to be afraid of it and to love it and want to get a part of it. All right, so I'll speak to you soon and look to the next video.